Imagine if you could easily find solutions to make your region or city smarter, greener, better connected, more social, and closer to citizens. The Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform can help you access knowledge about the latest policy trends, discover expert-validated good practices from all over Europe, find solutions in our peer review, get tailored support from our expert team. We can connect you with the right people and organizations. Together, we will find ways to solve your region's or city's challenges. Start your policy learning journey today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar on district approaches to sustainable energy, brought to you by the Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform. I would like to welcome our participants. I see many known names, so welcome back for the returning clients and welcome to the newcomers. My name is Katharina Krell. I'm a thematic expert for Greener Europe with the Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform, and I'm here with my team. Colleagues, Simon Hunkin, also expert for Greener Europe, like myself, and our web experts, Lotte van Mijl and Valentine Giffet. So together we are bringing this webinar to you this afternoon. I'm going to be your main moderator, and Simon is going to man the chat. We are on Zoom. The webinar is being recorded, and the participants are muted. For interactions, please use the chat function. Simon is going to monitor it and bring your questions to our speakers. Don't hesitate to use it extensively. You're going to be emailed all material that we see today and the recordings automatically in a few days. And yeah, that's it for housekeeping. To get a better idea of the audience today, let's have two quick polls. So you know the game, just tick the options. Lotte, please launch the polls. So there are two. What about your background? Do you work in a public administration? Are you a researcher, work for an association or something else? And how about your experience with the energy transition? Do you have experience with renewables and energy efficiency at single building level or even at district level? Or are you still learning? So let's see a little bit what's your background profile. Okay, a majority of almost 60% work in public administrations. We have 14% of researchers, 14 associations, and 14 others. So I guess private sector or individuals with interest. So about the expertise in the energy transition, only 10% have experience with renewables and energy efficiency at district level. Well, you're at the right place to learn more. I'm still learning, 80%. Okay for that. Thank you very much. So why are we talking about district approaches to sustainable energy? Well, the European Union has set targets for the decarbonization of our building stock, as you all know, and this requires a huge financial effort, and it concerns hundreds of millions of buildings that need to be renovated, adding energy efficiency and renewables, and going one by one building is very costly and takes very long. So a promising approach is district renovation. Renovating a large district is taking advantage of economies of scale, and it also allows a more efficient use of renewable energy systems that might be larger, that can be deployed. So our objectives for today are then to learn about the advantages of scaling up from single building to neighborhood level, to hear some concrete implementation cases, and to explore, of course, what regional and local authorities can do to promote the district level. And for that, we have a nice agenda and some great speakers. So let's take a look at the agenda. We are kicking off with a keynote from Julien Dijol from Housing Europe, with introduction to the topic and recommendations from the SHAPE EU project. And then we will hear 3 good practices from across Europe, starting with Beatriz San Martín from Land and Housing of Navarra in Spain, followed by examples from Tampere. Terttu Vainio from VTT, Technical Research Center, is going to present us this time not a renovation of an existing, but a new neighborhood, Ilokkaanpuisto. And last but not least, we're having Lorenzo Federiconi from Marche region in Italy, who's going to tell us from the perspective of a regional authority how regional planning instruments can integrate the district level. All right, so before going to our keynote, I hand the floor to my colleague Simon for a quick introduction of Interact Europe and the policy learning platform, which is behind this webinar. Simon.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, good afternoon also from my side. So I'll keep this relatively brief, just an overview of the policy learning platform for those of you who don't know us. I guess that most of you will know about Interact Europe projects, which are focused on regional learning, regions exchanging experiences and good practices. The policy learning platform looks to build upon this, further exploiting project achievements and bringing results to outside audiences. So through the platform, you'll find access to 3 key resources. So firstly, the knowledge. You'll be able to access their policy solutions via the Good Practice database and thematic publications. People through the community, so primarily through thematic events and webinars such as today. And then also expertise. I'll go into that in a moment. So again, the good practices, we have more than 3,000 available. So if you go to this link at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to dive into this good practice database and also access our other written resources. For access to people, we have an online community of more than 10,000 people. And indeed, as I said, we organize all of these kinds of policy learning events. The access to expertise is perhaps the most interesting of the services. So here we have the peer reviews. These are intensive 2-day experiences to learn from other regions about how to solve your regional challenges. We have matchmakings, which are similar, but on a smaller scale, only 2 hours for this, but it's a chance to learn about other good practices, and the policy help desk, where we can direct you towards the available resources. I'll take a chance also to mention a little bit about districts in Interact Europe projects. So I mean, as the poll revealed, the district level is perhaps not always considered, but we're quite lucky to have a project that has really focused on the district level in LC districts. So we'll be hearing a bit later on from Lorenzo, who will elaborate more on the project's achievements. We then also have 2 projects, Social Green and Poverty, which have looked specifically at social building, social housing, and at energy poverty, and have again considered the district level either through multi-building renovations or through district level pilot actions. And then to direct you again to that good practice database, we have plenty of practices on district heating and energy communities to explore. And that was it for me.
Thank you for this overview. Yes, I think district heating is perhaps where we have mostly considered the district level so far, but let's turn to the full-fledged district level approach. And I would like to hand over to Julien, please.
Thank you very much, Katharina. So bear with me in a second. Okay, so I think must now have my slides on the screen. So thank you very much for the invitation, and good afternoon from Brussels, from the Office of Housing Europe, the European Federation of Social, Cooperative and Public Housing. The reason why I've been invited to address the audience this afternoon is because indeed Housing Europe is leading a very peculiar project called SHAPE EU. Peculiar in a sense that it's not financed by Horizon Europe, which is usually the case, you know, for energy-related projects. It's not financed by Interact Europe neither. It's financed by the Single Market Europe program, led by DG Growth, so the Department of the European Commission in charge of industrial policy and growth. And the reason behind is that the European Commission believe it's important to have some sort of overarching approach on district renovation with the view of supporting what we call lighthouse district renovation. I will go into more details about what is a lighthouse renovation or district renovation in a minute. But before that, I wanted to go through a certain number of elements which I think will be important to frame the discussion this afternoon. Sorry. Okay. Try to. 1 second. The slide is not working. Hold on. Sorry for that. Okay. So. The first element is why we are looking beyond buildings. And here it's courtesy of VITO, a Flemish organization working on research and innovation. And I've seen that some people are, come from the audience are coming from Belgium, from Flanders, so it might be familiar to them. This is a project that the VITO Institute has put forward, and I think it's very telling and illustrative of why we're looking beyond buildings. This little table, basically, in a nutshell, what it tells you is that as a local authority or as a housing provider, you have plenty of choices in terms of what kind of technical solution you will have to implement to decarbonize your building stock or your districts or your neighborhood. Choices in relation to indeed what is the level of insulation you want to reach, what is the level of CO2 emissions you want to reduce, and the question and the big questions for local authorities, so for you and for housing providers, is what is the best option? What is the option which actually maximize the benefits and minimize the cost? Colleagues from VITO have tested these different scenarios in a neighborhood in Sint-Niklaas, in Flanders, and they have basically looked at what is the best option in terms of CO2 reduction, but also in terms of capital expenditure. And one of the key messages here, which actually is a confirmation of what we've been saying and what we've seen on the ground for many years, is that the best option in terms of CO2 reduction and capital expenditure is the one which combine a work on the building level, building envelope, with a work on the district heating, on the production of heat, and this at the neighborhood level. This is the option which maximize the CO2 reduction, but taking into account the investment question and, of course, the cost and therefore the affordability for cities and the residents. So I think this is a very important and relevant information to already take away, is that as a local authority, you will have plenty of options and the decision will be based on multiple factors. But the one important one, as far as we are concerned, is the one combining affordability with reduction of CO2 emissions. Another way to say it is to also recognize and acknowledge that a building-only approach is not always the most cost-effective one. And here I refer to a study that we commissioned to Copenhagen Economics 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, and which basically says that above a certain level of insulation, the cost of renovation exceeds the savings. And of course, this threshold may differ from one local circumstances to another, from one country to another. There are many factors of that. But the important point here is to say that there's a strong case to support measures that will reduce the barrier for investment up to a certain level in terms of the building renovation, but above that level, the economic case is weaker. And therefore, from a district level point of view, it's important to know what is this level and where to indeed put the renovation mark. It's therefore a way to decide about the kind of options you want to take. Third point here is, and a reason why we believe looking beyond single buildings is important, is that we need to take into account what we call co-benefits. What we call co-benefits usually in relation to decarbonization is related, to health, is related to employment, is related to energy poverty. Well, increasingly, the social housing sector believes that what we call co-benefits are actually core benefits because they are the most tangible ones. And here, this is an example of an exercise that has been made at a level of a city, which is in France. If I'm not mistaken, this is in the city of Tours, center of France, and this consultancy called Delphis has managed to measure the impact of investing in social housing in this territory. One of the impacts is, of course, the reduction of the energy bill, and you can see this is the column in yellow in the middle. Sorry, this is in French. Turns to be a language course now. But in the middle column, you see at the end, at the bottom, 441 euro per year, which is the savings that is made by investing in one social housing unit as compared to the private sector. So this kind of exercise, which also look at the CO2 savings, is very helpful for local authority because it will help again to guide the decision between doing renovation only, building renovation, or going beyond that and trying to, in a way, tick multiple boxes in terms of purchasing power, in terms of employment and health. So this is something that we also believe is one of the key arguments in favor of district approach. Now, more into Shape EU. I said earlier, this is a bit of a peculiar project because for the first time, this project managed to bring together big, let's say, European organization representing not only housing providers, but also cities. You see Eurocities, energy cities. Maybe some of you are members of those organizations. And we also have affiliated partners, and we hope that we manage to get a quite good geographical spread. So Shape EU is basically about supporting cities and urging cities to go for what we call lighthouse district renovation. And what are the lighthouse district renovation or integrated district renovation? Of course, there are plenty of definition, and we are not here to fix one single definition. But a tentative definition is to say that basically it's about balancing multiple considerations. And as I mentioned to you earlier, when you look at the potential impact of investing in affordable housing, you see clearly multiple benefits. Well, this multiplicity of consideration and dimensions is what actually is the feature of Lighthouse District. When you look at basically the involvement of residents, also the supply of new housing, what you do with the non-residential part, how you create jobs, that's one key aspect. And the other aspect is the fact that you address the fundamental challenges of retrofitting, of renovation. So bringing together around the table stakeholders that will look at what are the different technological solutions, how we can measure the actual performance, and also ideally setting up a financing model that will be based on this actual performance. For instance, the energy contracting performance. So balancing the consideration and trying to address the fundamental challenges of retrofitting is what is, in a way, what are the key aspects of this lighthouse district renovation that we try to promote through the Shape EU project. Shape EU, basically, what do we do with Shape EU? Well, we are producing a lot of materials that we call blueprints, and you see under the key outputs, one in bold is called blueprints. Blueprints are, as you know, detailed plans that are supposed to be replicable. Of course, the challenge is to make sure that it's not too detailed, otherwise it's not flexible enough to be replicable. But they are supposed to be a guideline or something that will help a city to go for this integrated renovation, integrated district renovation. The blueprints are into different categories, and of course you will have all the information if you are interested to be supported by Shape EU. But we are not only producing blueprints or materials, we're also here to provide one-to-one support. So basically people, we have a pool of experts that are available to go to your city and to explain based on their experience how we can make sure that we go for this integrated district renovation using the extensive knowledge that we all gathered throughout the different, European projects in the past, which was something which was missing. I mean, we all know there are plenty of projects around at the European level, but it's very difficult to know, okay, what is the most relevant thing for my city? And what we try to do with JPU is really precisely to make a more clarity around that. One of the key outputs, of course, of this project, as many European projects, is policy recommendation. And before going to the policy recommendation, it's also important to see that what we call integrated district renovation may have different strength depending on the countries, on the regions. For instance, in Austria, from our members' feedback, we know that now the challenge is on changing heating systems, because they manage, at least in the non-for-profit housing association sector, they manage to renovate a huge proportion of their building stock up to now. So now the challenge is on changing the heating system, using, for instance, heat pumps, and a lot of progress are being made on the heat pump sector and heat pumps market in Austria. And the combination of heat pumps with other aspects is really now what the strength and the strong point of our Austrian non-for-profit housing association. So let's say you are in a city in Austria, well, that might be the strength or the point you want to stress when you do district renovation. In other countries like Southern Europe, or even in Brussels, and I took an example on that, we may want to stress or to emphasize energy communities, or the production of energy through photovoltaic panels. And this is some graphs from Brussels, where actually you see the amount of energy produced by the PVs on the left side. You can see how it's been used. It's been used partly by to the common areas, the common space of the building, but also to households themselves. And the excess is indeed sold to the grid. And on the right side, you see the difference in price in between the market price in blue, the social tariffs in red, and what actually the tariffs are produced by the PV panels, so in gray. So it also gives an impression of why it's important also to look at a combination between energy efficiency and renewable energy in this approach. ABU is essentially about improving living conditions. And I took two examples, just to picture, one from, again, Flanders, Kortrijk on the left, the other one in Italy, Reggio Emilia, where actually we project it's an actual real project in Kortrijk, where they managed to turn what was a deprived neighborhood into something which is now very trendy, and where people seems to be proud to live it. I mean, if you have people from Kortrijk in the audience, I'd be happy to discuss that. But the point is, the entry point was renovation, but at the end of the day, because they managed to tackle a lot of dimensions, they created something that we can call a lighthouse district project. And on the right side, this is something. This is only a plan, so something which is not yet realized. But the plan is to turn one deprived neighborhood of Reggio Emilia in Italy into something, again, where people are proud to live in through this, multi-dimensional integrated district renovation. Now, all those projects have a lot of common features, and despite the variety and the local situation and geographic features, there's some common points that you can find everywhere. I'm not going to list them all, but it's all about densification. It's all about also making sure that you have the creation and enhancement of green spaces. Green spaces has been very important point, particularly now with COVID. It's really back on top of the agenda when you do district renovation. The question of adaptation to the climate change with the urban heat island is also something very important, and something that residents are really calling for. You have also, and I will go to the last part, the importance of promoting local employment, local businesses. And in general, the social housing sector is very involved in generating employment at the local level. And through this idea of district renovation, it's even more important. We have even examples, good practices, like in Sweden, where they managed to employ local residents in doing the renovation. So the use of procurement rules, which will allow for local people to be employed in this, is also very important. Actually, it all leads to the preliminary recommendation. I say preliminary because we are still now in the process of discussing those renovation and the recommendations. Sorry, and today is a good opportunity, if we have time, of course, to get your feedback. So we've picked up 5 of them. The first one will be about, of course, finance, because what I presented to you seems very nice and so on, but at the end, it can all be something in relation to finance. So we need to have a way to make access to finance easier for the local authorities and for the socializing provider in order to have this integrated district renovation. And it's not easy because some of the things are coming from different funding streams. So, but we have to make an effort, and at the EU level, the Commission has to make an effort to simplify that. The second point is indeed what I mentioned just before, which is procurement. How you make sure that you will employ or involve local residents. How you will make sure that you will have circular economy solutions in your renovation. Well, this is all down to the procurement strategies. And procurement rules are actually wide-ranging, and you have a lot of options. And very often, unfortunately, national authority or local authorities are not aware of the different options provided by procurement rules. So it's important to know, and we know that there's a lot of training on procurements, but I think it's really a crucial point, for instance, when you use innovation or partnership frameworks. The third point would be about, of course, the facilitation of the dialogue with the stakeholders on the ground. Stakeholders being actually socializing providers, local authorities, but also construction companies. And in fact, the procurement rules can help to do that. But essentially also, this is the role of the residents. And here we can discuss quite long about how easy it is to involve residents. We know it's not easy. We know it might actually drag on the process. It might make things a bit more costly. But what we know also is at the end, the level of quality, the level of acceptance is better, is higher. And therefore, it's probably worth the time and the money to invest in the co-creation with the residents. That's actually a key point. The fourth aspect would be maybe for the European Commission is to work on the legislation at the EU level. There's plenty of new directives that are actually being published now in the official journal or being negotiated. And it will have an impact on the ability of the local authority to choose the right solutions. You remember what I said at the beginning about choosing the right approach? Well, actually, we need the directives to be flexible enough to help local authority to choose the right one, depending on the local circumstances. And the fifth point would be maybe a more general one, but something about the way we are thinking about urban policy. I know some of you might be architects, and you probably also have heard about the new European Bauhaus, and it was behind a very nice idea of, let's be sure that we all agree or we have a shared understanding of what is a balanced urban policy, including on an architectural level, so that everyone would accept that, and making sure that we have cities that tackle a lot of issues, including the social aspect, because architecture is great only if it is in relation to real people's needs, including energy poverty. So that's the 5 recommendations that we for the moment have picked up, and I think I will stop here. I will check if we have any question, or maybe people from Policy Platform Learning Platform can help me. If there's some questions, anyway, I will be also speaking in the panel later on. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Julien. That was an excellent framing with very many interesting facts. So, like the best option for maximizing CO2 reduction and cost efficiency, or that sometimes it is not worth going for an A or A+ label in energy efficiency for the building, because you will never have the savings that cover the costs. Also, your recommendations, I think the one at the bottom is perhaps very relevant for our target audience, which is the regional and the local people and administrations. So thanks for that as well. Maybe a quick question regarding the offer of Shape EU. You mentioned the blueprint, when is it due, and the one-to-one support for cities, how to enact that?
So indeed, it will be soon due, I think, but basically only in January. It was a quite short project in time, so it will end in February, after only basically a year. As I said, it's quite a special grant that we got. We hope that we'll be able to continue, but basically January, the blueprints will be available, as well as the one-to-one support. All this information can be found on the website, which I put on I will put it on the chat again, after that, no problem. So you go there, and actually there's probably already a contact points where you can reach people and see how it's possible to basically ask experts to go in your city and have at least a discussion about kind of project we want to put in place. So I put it on the chat.
Thank you very much. Great. Okay, then I see
a question. I don't know if you want me to address that now or afterwards, but
perhaps for the panel. Let's take it to later on. Thank you very much, Julien, for this inspiring keynote. And I would like to hand over to Beatriz, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Beatriz San Martín, and I'm working in innovation area of Narsovinsa, which is a public entity in Navarra region. Okay, I will try to share my screen. Just a moment, please. Okay. So first of all, many thanks to Interact Europe Policy Learning Platform to count on us, because it is a really pleasure to be part of this wonderful panel. So as Katharina has said, I will talk about the energy district renovation in Navarra. Well, first of all, I would like to introduce you with some regional context. Because Navarra is located in the north of Spain, and it has an extension of almost 2,000 square kilometer, and our residential stock was mainly built before the 80s. So that is to say that the dwellings that don't have any kind of insulation. And these dwellings are our main focus in energy renovation processes. Well, in terms of renovation in Navarra, I would say that Navarra is a pioneer, because the housing competencies were acquired in 1985. And since then, we established along the territory offices with the aim of encourage the renovation processes. And finally, I want to highlight that we have an exceptional legal and financial framework which allow us to have more renovation processes there in our territory. Then we have a legal figure called Global Intervention Project, which allow us in general terms to carry out energy refurbishment at larger scale, but it is based on a participatory process, and this is a requirement there. Then I have talked about the financial framework in our region, and here you can see in this slide which is the maximum amount of money that an owner, which is included in a homeowner association, which has already decided to carry out an integral renovation action, which is the maximum amount of money of one single dwelling. We are talking about, at least right now, nowadays, more than 20,000 euros per dwelling. Taking all into account with this regional context, what have we done during these years? Well, in general terms, the renovation processes, what we have seen, as Julien already said, it's quite complex. And the model acquired among this year relies on the one-stop shop approach. This aims to offer to the building owners in a one single location all the necessary assistance to move forward for the energy efficiency renovation of the existing residential buildings. This concept has been already demonstrated as an effective and successful tool to bridge the gap that Julien already said between the complexity of a building renovation project and the lack of experience of the homeowners. And in those one-stop shops, the key figure for us, at least, is what we call the management teams. Well, those management teams in these one-stop shops, generally speaking, they are following the next process. Once a municipality signs a collaboration agreement with Nasovinsa, in this case, my company, the one-stop shop is established in the territory, and a technical and economic model at district scale is developed. So, thanks to that, after a bidding process, a reference project, it is shown to the citizens with lots of briefings. We have direct contact with the citizenships, and they can agree based on this reference project to carry on or not carry out this renovation action. Also, in this phase, it's quite important to detect which are the leaders of each homeowners association. And after that, we go to a joint tender procedure, and these reference projects are adapted per each building, but they have the economic of scale to join in different buildings at once. So with this economic of scale, we sign the private contracts between the architectural team, the construction companies, and so on per building, per homeowner association. And after that, we can start the renovation projects. So it is true that I have simplified all the process quite a lot, but we have acquired this methodology along the years, as you can see, with a lot of different EU funding, because they were extremely important for us. We began our journey back in 2009 with Lourdes Renovate project, and we have been improving our methodology with different locations and scales and so on. In Lourdes Renovate project, we have the objective of renovate the district of Lourdes in Tudela, which is located in the south of the region, through these main targets with the renewable energy resources, the energy saving measures, and also social measures. But for us, the key aspect of this project that we have learned is that it is required to establish a one-stop shop. We have there our first one-stop shop. After that, we have one of our most famous project, which is called EFI District, that it has the aim of renovate the social district of Chantrea in Pamplona, in the capital of the region. And here, we just not only establish the one-stop shop, but we also define quite clear the management teams, how they have to work in the territory with this project. It is true that it was a successful project, not only for the figures that we reached in those years, but also because we could almost duplicate them thanks to the engagement of the citizens who saw the results of the first phase. After that, we have the sustainability project under Horizon 2020 with a general idea of develop actions within the framework of Navarra region, but our efforts were once again for the private housing stocks. And here in this project, what we improve in our methodology is that we need to develop the global intervention projects that I already mentioned there. We established it then in this project. However, the ambitious EU targets that we have encourage us to look for climate change adaptation. And that's why we are working in Life Nadapta project. Among these years, we developed a roadmap for energy renovation, not only in urban, but also in rural areas. We have published a guide about architecture, urbanism, and climate change adaptation. We are working in energy communities. And in addition to that, we have characterized our residential building stock in a huge viewer in three main aspects: energy efficiency, accessibility, and socio-economic data. Interreg Europe LC District project allows us to improve our regional development policies and programs in the area of building renovation. And you can click here in our policy roadmap for more information. Taking all into consideration, the one-stop shop, the management teams, and so on, all the icons you can see here, we are working right now in one of our biggest projects, which is called ELENA project, and it is funded by the European Investment Bank. Here are the figures, and we have been working in this energy transition of the housing stock in the whole region, in Navarra, through a holistic approach with all the lessons learned about all the projects that I already mentioned before. And after that, we will have, I would say, a sustainable, competitive, and secure and decarbonized sites energy regional guideline for the whole region. And finally, so what about now? Because this is a EU project quite big with the European Investment Bank. We are working on the revitalization, which is more than only energy aspect. We are talking also about social and cultural aspects here. As Julien already mentioned, we are working in the framework of the new European Bauhaus, but also in the framework of Interreg Europe with the project Interrevita, which is about the revitalization on medium, large cities in the European Union. So just to sum up all the things that I already said, because there are quite a lot, what have we learned among these years? I would say that they are some lessons learned that Julien has already told us. So I will go very fast, but yeah. In a nutshell, what we need is to be in contact with the local administration. It's very important to have these management teams in the territory. it's very, very, very important. It is required to have the citizen engagement. We need to create this trusted environment to be in contact with them, to encourage them to make this kind of actions, not only for the beauty, but also for their own health. I mean, then we have to be ambitious. We have to tackle global actions, to have integrated actions, not only step by step with just only one building. We have to focus our efforts in a large scale. It is true that here in my region, we have a unique financial framework, but I would say that we need to look for a stable financial framework, because otherwise we cannot reach the European goals. It is, I would say, almost impossible. And as I already said during my whole presentation, you have seen that we started to work back in 2009, and we are still working on that. So we need to work on a long-term approach. We need stability over the time. And, you know, it is quite complex, but at the same time, it's very grateful and it's very rewarded. And you would say that your cities, your villages, your urban spaces are improving. So I don't know if there is some questions. Otherwise, here you have my contact details. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bea. Yes, we have a question. Simon, please.
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, we have two questions. So I'd go first to the question from Sergio. I think it was related to the district heating system. He's asking if you could explain how you get biomass and how much biomass you need.
How sorry?
How you get biomass and how much biomass you need.
Well, I don't have exactly the figures, but in Lourdes Renove project, we changed the boiler to biomass because here in Navarra we have lots of district heatings, but they were created back in the 60s. So we need to renovate them. So in this project, we not only renovate the pipelines, but also we change the way of supply them. And also in the Fi District project, we also renovate different district heatings existing in the neighborhood, and also we create a new district heating supplied by biomass. And this new district heating is going to supply at least, I think it will be 2,000 dwellings. And I would say it was like 3 public buildings. It is a huge one.
But where does the biomass come from?
It's come from our forest, because in Navarra we have almost 70% of our forests are owned by the public administration.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, then we also have a question coming in from Anna, asking if you could explain a bit about how citizens have been involved, and if you have any resources explaining your participative approach.
Well, it is quite complex to explain in just 10 minutes, but the first thing is to be in contact with them. We cannot send emails and that's all. We need to focus and to establish this kind of office, because then they have a meeting point where all the queries can be resolved. And it is an exhaustive work, because you have to present all the project in lots of different briefings. And these briefings, at least here in Spain, we are having them at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. I mean, you need to work extra hours. It is true. It's not an on-desk work. It is an inside work to be in direct contact with them. So that you need to create this trusted environment. It is extremely important. Otherwise, they are not going to believe in you.
Yes, you have to be credible and you have to be consistent and you have to do it over and over again. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this very impressive testimony from Navarra. Congratulations for your Elena project. What is the ownership structure of the houses in the Elena project? Who owns the houses?
In Elena project, we're only working with private homeownerships.
Okay, very interesting. We might come back to you for another presentation on more details. Very interesting. Thank you very much for now.
Thank you.
And I would like to call our next speaker to the floor, please. Terttu Vainio, the floor is yours.
Yes. Good afternoon from my side. I'm senior scientist from Technical Research Center of Finland. And I will introduce you one demonstration of smart city project STARDUST. Next. So this is smart city project that has tested and validated technologies that can help cities to achieve their climate goals. And there is a couple of cities involved in this project, and one of them is Tampere from Finland. Next. So today, new buildings have to be nearly zero energy buildings, but in a couple of years, our new buildings have to be zero emission buildings, and they have to have some installations to have own solar energy production. And next, please. So Tampere is fast-growing city, and that's the reason why they are very interested how to build sustainable and future-proof new buildings, new residential buildings. And the most sustainable way is to build or grow, is to build buildings inside already built environment. But the problem is that there is not much room for renewable energy production. So in STARDUST project, we had this demonstration that you can, next please. So the demonstration, only those buildings were built inside city, but the renewable energy production was built outside of the city to the rural area. So there is a lot of room for PV panels. Next, please. So this concept is so that in rural area, there is those solar panels that have capacity to produce electricity for these buildings, but also for these 200 households who are living there. And because this production site is outside of city, they need this local grid to transfer this electricity, but also this local grid serves as virtual battery. Those buildings, they are very energy efficient. They are heated by ground source heat pumps, They have, of course, heat recovery from in ventilation system and smart energy management system and automation system. So now these buildings and also these households, they get 100% renewable energy. What are they using? And this is the first energy community owned by private households in Finland. So we don't have not so much experience of energy communities like they have in Germany or Spain or all those countries. Next, please. So the balance of this concept is that only 25% of year's hours the production exceeds consumption. So we need this virtual battery service for 75% of hours in year. And the tricky thing is that when we need, when the demand of electricity is highest in November, December, January, February, the power production is the lowest one. But still, this works. And next, please. So what we have learned of this net zero concept of Ilokkaanpuisto, I think the most important thing is that these households receive the energy quite low price. Of course, the energy itself is free, but they have to pay this virtual battery service and also this grid charge. Exactly the price of energy has been 7 cents per kilowatt hour, and it is quite low compared to EU average. I think it has been in last or this year about 3 or 4 times this 7 cents. Also, Tampere Utility Company has learned what are energy communities, and they have developed this new two-way virtual battery service. And also, City of Tampere has learned how new buildings in urban environment can fill this coming requirement of zero emission buildings. And next, please. So if you are interested, this demonstration or other STARDUST project results, you can visit our website, stardust.eu, or contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terttu. Terttu, first of all, why was there not enough space on the roofs of the building to place the photovoltaic panels there?
So when you have a block of flats, of course, there is many flats and there is limited space on roof. So it can fulfill only percent.
All right. So it was large houses with many tenants, and the roof space would only have served perhaps 1 or 2 flats. Okay. Well, we see electricity is always needed, and especially if there are heat pumps, because they also use electricity. And the combination between photovoltaic and heat pump is really very good. And the Tampere case study shows how this can be done even if there is not enough space on the roofs. We have seen, by the way, a similar case from Malta, where in the old town, which is very densely built, so also many apartments and little roof area, the city has made available space on a water reservoir outside of the city where a photovoltaic plant was built, and the homeowners could purchase capacity on this PV plant and then also using the grid as a medium to get access there. So it's of course very nice if the grid serves as a virtual battery, but if we think about scaling this up to many new neighborhoods, the what could be a better solution? The grid cannot always be used as a virtual battery.
So of course this is limited. You can't scale this for there is limited amount. Yes, but they have. This was the first case, but there is already new cases, and maybe this to have windmill or wind power would be. Then you have this electricity more than from sun. This is one funding.
Yes, one finding, or to build some real storage, not use the grid as storage, but to build some real battery.
But in this case, we need this seasonal battery. Seasonal battery.
That is true.
It is not. It is not daily, but it is. You need to have battery for 4 months.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And it is huge. But I'm sure that, for example, my organization will develop something.
I have no doubt. Thank you very much for your presentation, Terttu. And I would like to move to our last presenter, Lorenzo. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will share my presentation. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Now?
No.
No? Before it was perfect, just half an hour ago.
Yeah, we tested.
Yes, we tested. Just a minute. So now.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, now just put it full screen.
Yes, full screen. Okay, can you see it?
Now we're in presentation mode. Impostazione di visualizzazione.
Yes, the same. Yes. It happens just before the same. I don't know why.
Okay, now you're gone again.
Okay. Now it's perfect, I think.
No, you have unshared it. You have unshared it again.
No, it's impossible. I see it perfectly.
Yeah, but you are not sharing anymore.
I'm really sorry for this. I don't know what happens. So. Full screen mode, and then some. Can you see it now?
Okay, Lotte, can you please help out?
Yes, let me share it for you. I think that will be easier.
I can't understand why I see it perfectly, but I don't know why it happens like this.
Sometimes
never mind.
Just there we go.
So okay. You can move the slides for me, okay?
Yes, you let me know when you want to go to the next slide.
Yes, thank you very much. So here we are. I'm Lorenzo Federiconi. I'm an officer of Marche Regional Government. So I explain our experiences about integrated district approaches into regional planning and strategies. Yes, you can move to the next one. So as I told you, I am an officer. I represent the public administration. So all the presentation will be focused on our particular perspective, our particular point of view as the role that we are playing daily. So this is a scheme that will explain how I will move into my presentation. First of all, I have to say that I am here because now I am implementing the Express project that is financed by the Interreg Europe program. But before talking about Interreg Express, this is the flow that I joined just to explain what happened in our region. First of all, this is a methodology that takes us to find a new way to influence and improve our policy instruments. So we started with the implementation of a European project. We found a good call, that fix our objectives, that are in line with our objectives. We found a project in which participate, and in this case it was LC District that we have just heard something before, because also Beatriz was in the partnership. Then we started the process of implementing the project with this change of good practices and share experiences. We found good practices, and one of the best good practices that were individuated by this project was the Ithaca protocol at urban scale, and afterward you can see more. Then we developed the outputs that were foreseen in the projects, that were mostly the regional diagnosis and the action plan. The action plan contained actions, and the action number 1, 30 districts, was a sort of a pilot action, a pilot project that experimented at district level. Then we found new solutions. We found a new methodology to apply in our regions to develop kind of projects. And then at the end, we find some suggestions to influence and improve and create new policy instruments that we have now developing, or we are going to develop, or we are just already approved in our regional government. And then the very last step is to do more, to do just another project, Express, trying to use the same approach in the same topic about the district approach, but with a different mood. And then to find other occasion, always dealing about renewable energy transition in neighborhoods, and focusing also in social impacts, because we are also interested in this. So we can move to the next one. This is the what we do. We are our sector is the energy sources, waste management, and quarries and mines sector, and we are in charge of the regional system of energy managing and planning. So we are the regional managing authority, sustainable energy planning for sustainable building, and we also manage the money, the funds coming from Europe for the ministry, for the Italian ministry, and also regional funds. And we make incentives to sustainable building and sustainable waste, sustainable energy sources. So with this project, I want to start with this project because I'm invited here just because I'm a partner of this project. So it's important how we can understand how the methodology can then be translated and used also in this project for the main purposes. Because the Express project aims to decrease the region's dependency on energy imports on fossil energy and to increase their energy self-sufficiency and share of renewable energy by improving regional policies. I want to stop here because then you can understand, when I will speak about our past experience, how it will collect all the things that will be then translated into this project. But I want to tell it more afterwards. So let's move to the next one. Well, the starting point was, as I told you, the project LC District. That was one of our first approach to think with a district approach. Let's say, a district approach. So one of the we have done is to find our main stakeholders and to directly interact with them, because I think, and we are very convinced, that a good local authority, a regional authority in our case, has to work with the open door. You have to be with your door always open. You have to interact with all the other realities in the territory. So other local authorities, regional universities, municipalities, the partners that you have at different scale, the other department of the same organization, and also the professionals that are inside our region, because everyone has a different, how do you say, professionality. So it's important to share the points of view just from the beginning of every process and of every process. So with this project that deals about low carbon districts, we found the action inside the action plan that we call the 30 district. That was design and test a low carbon district by applying an environmental certification tool, all buildings and at urban scale. We have to think that urban scale is not the summary, the sum of more buildings. It's quite different, but it's important for us to work at both the scale, because we found very different and very useful analyzing buildings separately and the whole context of a district. I want to say that what is a district for us? A district, we found at the end, we discovered that it's not very important to look for a right definition of district, but we can tailor the district as we need. That is the right way to reach the maximum results. So if we have an homogeneous territory in one case, for instance, a territory around the river, or an entire town, or a piece, just some neighborhoods on the town, or I don't know what, but it could be everything, also a coastal zone, also a park, as you like. The important is what you want to find, what is your main objective, that for us is mainly and always the environmental sustainability. This is a must. Then we decline it with all the elements and all the analysis of the internal planning that we do into the district or into the entire region to go to this main result. Let's go forward.
I should warn you, you are behind time.
Behind time?
Not yet over, but
okay.
Speed up.
I speed up. Okay. The practice was the implementation. We have implemented, as I told you, we defined three districts, three very different districts in our territory. That one was in the coast with a very crowded town. Another one in the inland. It was a UNESCO area, and another one in the inland. So let's go forward. And what we have done two different. Come on. The objective was to reduce forward to reduce the CO2 production, so to create low carbon district. And for this, we use the two Ithaca protocols at urban, at building scale, focusing on this criteria that was C1.2, that was the reduction of CO2 equivalent production in the project. Let's go on with the aim of reaching a higher score. So this is where the protocol is applied now in Italy. You can see the map. Let's go on. And afterwards, let's move. Okay, these are the criteria that we find inside the protocol. At the left, you can see the criteria of the building scale, and in the yellow, the CO2 emission and the social aspect criteria, while at the urban scale, we can see the other one more connected with the environmental and energy aspects. So let's move on. Then we find the scores. The more you reach the highest score, the more you are sure that your project is okay. So with this double application of the two protocols, you can be sure that you have improved and you make better project without the comparison of the initial state of act then to the end. So move on. Now we are going to the next one. These are our policy instrument now all going. We have the most important, that is the regional environmental plan that is dated 2016. Now we are renovating it, and in the process of renovating, we are taking a big account the results that we have reached with the projects that we have just finished. Then we have a law proposal that states the planning and intervention in the field of energy with the district approach. Then we have the regional plan for adaptation to climate change that was just approved by the regional council, but it has to become a law. And then a resolution that regional council that give advantages for those who act at district level and with a particular attention to the reduction of CO2. And then the next regional operational program that, foreseen these two. Then this was the now we have the vice chair of the climate working group for the coastal regions of Europe. And then we are introducing also in this working group the way to use those kind of protocol at urban scale in comparison with the regional with our regional plan for adaptation to climate change. And we want the other partner to join this methodology, because we are strongly believe in reaching a high score is just the right way to monitor and to control the environmental effect. Very quickly, let's go on with the next one. Then we have also a law on regional communities. We have just started. We have a law. We have some decrees that state some rules. I don't want to be longer. Let's go on. We have just also 6 million euros just in a disposal for energy communities. And let's go on. And then, yes, go on. This is the end. We have also some examples of what we have done in our region with energy community. But just a last sentence, we are at the beginning, because I just explained is a very long-term approach. And we have just started in January with this new way to approach with the district level, because we just ended the LC district project in January. So we are going in these directions, and we are strongly convinced that is if I can say, the only way to go with the right direction to preserve the environment and the energy effects, and to have energy cost efficiency, better energy cost efficiency, and also social advantages. Just a little word that I want to say, that this bottom-up approach for the energy communities involves directly the citizens, because the initiatives can start from a mayor, no? But then it's not it's the mayor, but all the citizens can have their own initiatives to go towards the district approach. That's to say that it's not only the regional authority or a municipality or the national government that states, and the energy communities or other little initiatives can start from an initiative from the top. So this is important, because this mutual interaction between high levels, let's say, and the population can be more and more developed. That's all. Sorry to be so long.
Well, you have a lot to say,
Yes.
Lorenzo, so how can we not forgive you? Thank you for this impressive contribution. I think it's very interesting to see how you go all the way up to the programming of the regional policies and the regional operational program. And it's also interesting, and that we have also seen in the presentation of Terttu, that actually the energy community concept and the district level are coming together here. And yeah, so thank you very much for sharing this. How do you work across political cycles? Do you have the possibility, because you mentioned the long term and Beatriz mentioned the long term commitment, is it possible at the regional level to act more as a stabilizing element for the long term?
This is what we want to do. But we are, as I told you, just at the beginning. So first, we have to state the rules, no? And it's not so easy to state the rules. Then we have to interact with the financial resources available, and we have to influence the way to financial resources be available to finance projects. So that's why I say it's a long-term process, because all of these operations, if you know how it works, a public administration, are very long, because there is the politics that have to decide, then you have to make acts, laws, new regulation, regional council degrees, and this lasts a lot of time. No, it needs a lot of time. So we are a programming body, so the results, well, that is the material realization of the buildings of the district is something that we can see in, I don't want to tell how many years we have to wait, but it's a long term, but this is our role. I can only tell you that now, after 20 years, for instance, we can see the concrete results of the work done, for instance, in waste prevention. Because if 20 years ago you talk about the separate collection, 20, 25 years ago, or waste prevention, that was really an alien, no, in our way of speaking. Now it's common, it's normal. So even in this case, we have to wait. We have to work very hard and very quickly with by our side in the policy instrument that must be implemented, renewed, and adapted, and with this main aim to work at district level.
Yeah, yeah. And that the targets are coming closer and the time is running out. I would like to call the other speakers to turn on their videos and use the remaining minutes for a roundtable discussion. And I would like, first of all, to make a proposal. We have seen from the chat that there is big interest in your model from Navarra. So Beatriz, I would like to ask you if you would be available in a 90-minute online meeting to share in a less formal context some more insight. And if yes, then I would propose that we organize, the Policy Learning Platform is organizing an online discussion, and Beatriz from Achenex and other interested people can join, and we can all learn.
Yeah, for sure. Whatever you need. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. So everybody, if you want to learn more details, mark your names in the chat so that we can contact you when we launch this online discussion where you can hear more about Navarra's model. Okay, Simon, please, some questions, I think from Tina.
Yep, sure. So yeah, we had a question from Tina that came in very early in the webinar, but we'd save it for you all in that panel. So I think quite a tricky question, but also quite interesting. And it's how do you make sure that the original residents can still afford to live in these districts if they become more popular and trendy after the renovations? Any ideas?
Is it okay if you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry, because I put the headphones. Yeah, maybe I can start by giving a simple and a bit simplistic answer. Is basically grants. I mean, this is the answer. To elaborate a bit, what I presented earlier is the fact that to choose the best option, the option which will minimize the cost and maximize the benefits. So you have to make the right decision, but also you have to have the funding for that. And very often the best solution is a solution which is still very costly, which does not pay for itself. Let's be honest. I mean, this idea of a solution that would pay for itself is very limited. So in the social housing sector, we rely on grants to do the renovation of the buildings. And even in the case of grants, sometimes you have to increase the rent. But in the social housing sector, this increase of rent is limited to a level which ensure that the global cost of living remain the same before and after the renovation, the big improvement being on the comfort for people. So in our sector, this is in a way that makes a difference between the private sector and the social housing sector. We have this golden rule of making sure that the global cost of living remains the same after the renovation. It's not the same in the private sector. So to have a district renovation approach is good in that sense, because you may also, as we saw in Spain, you may also have to work with private homeowners. And for them, there must be a conversation about how much they can contribute to the renovation. And we have seen also in Spain examples of homeowners deciding not to go for the renovation because even after the grants and the support, so it was too costly. That's a reality. We should not be shy of talking about that reality. So my simplistic answer, and I'm sorry for that, would be, more non-repayable fund would be probably the only way to ensure, to avoid this gentrification, renovation, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, great. Another gentleman who had a question is leaving. We will serve him with a help desk. Then I would like to hear from you a little bit about the policy lessons. I would like to use the last minutes for these. I mean, so if a municipality would like to introduce a district scale approach to renovation, what needs to be done? I mean, where to start from? So in a municipality, let's say mid-sized municipality where so far only individual buildings are being renovated. Where to start from? Just take the floor.
Well, I believe it's due to our experience, but I would say that first of all, know what is in your municipality, not only about urbanism, also to be in contact with your citizens, which are the ones who require more attention, just to characterize the social aspects, but also the energy aspects, and then prioritize. I mean, because you have to focus your long-term path. I mean, it's not only about for about 4 years. That is the municipality powers, I would say. It's about more. It's about a long-term path. So you have to prioritize which are the scopes that you wanted to take action. And then after that, starting work. I mean, it's not only words, it's work, hard work.
Yeah. So is it yeah, Julien?
Yeah, sorry, very briefly. I mean, I think the first thing I would do is to team up with a research institute or university and develop what I think what Lorenzo presented. I mean, Ithaca protocol is a great example of the kind of tools that cities have to use before going for one specific option. They have to know everything about the energy resources, the type of companies that in there, and they have also to factor in the budget that they have, and then to go for the best option. And then indeed you have to control for or making sure that the residents would buy in a way this idea and will accept that. So there's a second round to do that. But the first thing would be to develop this kind of decision-making tools that has been presented today, but we have plenty others going around. But that's really the most important thing. We need now to go into a situation where we exclude, what doesn't work, and when we focus on what works.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if I can say, I don't want to repeat what I just told in my presentation, but it was very effective because we collaborated with the 3 municipalities that were involved in our project. But that was an experimentation, a sort of pre-pilot project. But the municipality could really act with the use of our methodology, not only Ithaca protocol. It's not mandatory. They can find the other tools that are already running. Ours is public. It's developed by public institutions. So we recommend it because there are no other purposes under the use of this tool. I have to be sincere because I'm a public officer. But if they look for a municipality, could firstly look for funding, then start with a little pilot project at the district level, and then find their own methodology, and then to expand this methodology, maybe also for the entire land planning of the town, or to find districts with another scale. This could be a suggestion. And yes, and then use all the recommendations that we have just heard today from all of the speakers, because a lot of very interesting insights came from this debate.
Yes, I was also impressed. We get the impression this is a lot of work to move to the district level, because also the responsibility for initiation of the project is suddenly moved from the individual homeowners or whoever is owning the houses to whom? Who is the initiator? Is it the public hand? Is this the new initiator?
I don't know if who wants to start, but of course, I mean, yes, I mean, this has to be the municipalities, I mean, the public sphere or the social housing organization, which usually, I mean, are either non-for-profit or public, because they have a really long tradition of being also place shapers, as we call it. Yes, because that's only the public sphere or the non-for-profit sphere can start the movement, because by definition, all what we've been discussing today is not for profit. It's not going to be profitable for the private sector. And I still have to find an example of a project which has been co-financed by public investors. Actually, is quite uncertain whether they will be interested in going in that direction. So yes, it has to be the public sector.
All right, and the final question: is the district approach for everybody? What if a small municipality wants to go it? I mean, even a small municipality has a sub-district and can use the benefit of scaling up. But what about the extra effort and the capacities and the resources? Where can they get help from? If you don't have a one-stop shop in their region. Yeah.
I would say that it is more complex, not only for the amount of money that you need, because in the urban areas, if we are talking about homeowners association, there are some common investment that is shared between all the homeowners. But at a rural scale, this common investment, it is shared in between a lower number of residents. So the total amount of investment is going to be higher. So it's more complex. I would say it will require more amount of grants within the municipalities, not only the national or regional. It needs to be a municipal impulse, because probably in these rural areas, the residents will have more problems to invest in this kind of actions. Yeah. Maybe.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the end of our webinar. I would like to extend a very warm thank you to our excellent speakers. Very good contributions from each of you. Thank you very much for sharing. To close the webinar, I would give each of you the floor in order of appearance for one sentence or two with your takeaways and lessons from today, and then we will close. So first, Julien.
Well, thank you. Now, I think I was really impressed by the fact that at all level, I mean, local authorities are getting ready to do what's necessary, but they are doing it also with the view of different considerations, including the social one. And whether it's in Finland, Spain, and Italy, I see that local authority are taken on board all these dimensions, and they are looking for help, for support to take the right decision. And something like the ITACA protocol or discussion with the research communities to do the best option is really necessary, so that we can really implement now, instead of having long discussion about, general targets or objectives. And now we are entering the phase where we need to go to work and of course be also honest about how much it will cost, and therefore the amount of public money that have to be dedicated to that. So I think it's a great confirmation of what we are seeing now at the European level. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Julien. Bea.
Yeah, I would say that be ambitious, be ready to work, because there is a huge room to work in, and it is not only about new developments right now. It is about to reach the EU targets, taking into account that it is an effort for everybody, and we need to redevelop, rethink, and co-create these new spaces that we need. So be ready to work.
Yes, I think that we understood. Terttu, what's your takeaway?
I think that compared to traditional construction project, was it renovation project or new building project, you need to cooperate with new partners. So it concerns this green transition. For example, you can't do it without digitalization. So you need to find good partners and learn to cooperate with.
Yes, I think that's
you guys.
key. Yeah. And amongst all the stakeholders, and to organize the cooperation. Lorenzo, your takeaway?
Yes, I want to say that integrating district approach into regional planning strategies, for me, is a must. And what we have today confirm this, because at the end, we live on the same square meter, we all live in the same place. So it's very important to monitor the choices that we do in the territory and to monitor the effects on the different environmental metrics. That's all, because with this environmental metrics for me is everything, also the social, also the cost effects aspects, also the environmental and the energy efficiency, is everything. And working at district level, I think, is the best way to take everything under control and to make the right choices for people and for a good management of the land planning and the territory.
These are perfect closing words. I don't think I have anything to add than a big thank you again to you, and also to my colleagues and to the audience for your active participation. We'll get back to you to each of your comments that we should have let slip. And it's my time to say goodbye. Have a nice afternoon.